Okay, so I'm talking low, but I wanted to make this video because I did have a lot of comments on the last video. So this is a "You Are Your Own Coach" continuation. So I left off at the part where I said, "I love you, Mom," but I was talking about toxic environments. And what people don't realize is, just to kind of talk a little bit more about that, what people don't realize is, what if they're struggling with something. Like, let's just say if I started struggling with something, even though this is my home, it could be a toxic environment because it's a reminder of how you felt. Like maybe the last time I was in this bathroom, I was feeling sorry for myself, or I was feeling insecure. So now this bathroom is like surrounded by negative energy. So that's what you have to do. So you either have to change your environment. Maybe I would post up a whole bunch of motivational quotes in the bathroom. Maybe, and I talked about this in another video, maybe in my living room, if that is a place that I used to eat, like my mom. Like, I love my mom, but being in her house, because that's where I went through my whole depression, where I was in my attic, it doesn't matter that I was in recovery. Just being in that house brought back those feelings. Like, I remember when I moved to California, and I moved here in on June 15th, that's the date, 2005. And I went back in August because my sister got engaged and it was an engagement party. So I went back to visit her. Moving out here, I felt like a sense of relief. It was just a totally different place for me, and I just felt lighter. Even though I put on 15 pounds, but because I was sick when I first moved out here. My Crohn's was really bad. I was really skinny. And then I put on like 10 or 15 pounds, but it was like good weight. I didn't look so skinny and sick. But whatever, that's not the point. When I went back, immediately landing in New York, I felt agita. I felt a stomachache. And it's just because that area, again, I love my mother. I love my family. I've forgiven those that maybe didn't, the whole issue with my father. I've forgiven that, because you can't be at peace. You can't move on unless you're okay. So if I saw my father today, I would be normal. I talk to him every now and then, and, I don't see him or talk to him very often, but I need to be at peace with it, or I'm not at peace with myself. So getting back to the toxic environments, you can't move. Like, let's just say if something did happen to me and all of a sudden this bathroom had negative vibes, I can't sell my house and move. We can't move. We can't up and move our apartments and places and whatever, but we can change our environment. Or technically, we don't have to stay there all day. There are some people that are not at home at all throughout the day. It's literally a home could be where you sleep, and that is it. And that's what I had to do. And I know I talked about this in the last video, but that's what I had to do. People dog people for working out too much. Like somebody said on my Facebook, or commented, I think on my Twitter, that people are saying that she's working out too much and that she's doing too much and that she needs to rest. And then she made a comment back to me that she's been resting up to what her highest weight was. She doesn't need to rest anymore. So everybody has all these negative comments to say about all these negative things. Nobody ever really, and this I talked about in another video, nobody ever says anything about somebody that works too much or stays out of their house too much or whatnot. Everybody has something negative to say about somebody that works out too much, or, and it's just all their negativity towards themselves, hence the 4 agreements, and, don't take it personal because them lashing out at you is their crap. So if you got another job to keep your mind busy, to stimulate you, to not necessarily about more money. Granted, I needed all those jobs, not really for, like, I was able to afford my apartment with what I was making at New York Sports Club, but I needed 2 things. I needed to keep myself busy, and I always kind of like lived in fear that what if I did lose something, or what if, I need to always have that extra little cushion, because there was a time when I went through my depression that I was broke. And I don't think I even said this in my story, but at 20-something years old, I collected Social Security because I was broke and I was in debt. And I filed for bankruptcy when the whole thing with the restaurant and my ex beating me up. Yes, my father lent us $25,000, but I also put $30,000 on a credit card that I couldn't pay back because now I fell into a depression. I quit my job. And so, like, that's even more than what's on my story on my website. Where was I going with this? I also have ADD. So you literally, you need to keep yourself busy for whatever reason. If the only reason why you're keeping yourself busy and having another job is because you need to stay active and because it forces you to show up someplace, maybe get a job at the bookstore. I worked all those jobs, but on Saturday and Sunday in the later part of the day from 2 o'clock in the afternoon and on, you know, nobody wanted to work out and do sessions at that time. I had already been working 7 days a week in the mornings and 5 days a week in the evenings, and in the middle of the days at the other job. I told you all that. So when I wasn't doing that, I was at the library. I was reading books. I was out of my house. I would go back to the gym. And I would much rather be maybe somebody who walked on the treadmill too much or ran out too much than somebody that nobody has anything, I mean, they do, but they physically won't say it out loud, have anything negative to say about somebody that binges and purges, right? They don't think that they'll never turn around and be like, oh my God, what are you doing to yourself? I can't believe you're eating like that, and then throwing it up. But if I exercise, then I'm doing too much. Like, it's just, there's so many negative spins on things. Like, it's okay to call somebody too skinny, and oh my God, you're so skinny, but it's not okay to call somebody fat. And people don't realize just how negative they're being, but whatever. So your family members, your coworkers, your friends, your anybody might not have any idea what it is that you are going through. And they don't have to, because there's a motivational quote out there that I'm happy with the way that I feel, and how you feel about me is none of my business. And it's not. So how you feel is none of their business. How they feel about what you're doing is none of your business. So who cares? You need to take care of you, because in 50 years, in 20 years, tomorrow night, on the 1st of the month, any one of those people's comments are not going to help you pay your bills or help you sleep better at night. They're not going to exercise for you. They're not going to burn calories for you. They're not going to do their best to try to rid you of any illness or sickness in the future. So it does not matter. It's easier said than done. And it took me a long time. But that is why I had to block them out by constantly surrounding myself with positivity. Every morning and every night, I never missed it. Save it in your phone. Jesus, we have so much technology these days. You can save a daily reminder in your phone every morning at 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. to do your positive affirmations. And it'll remind you in your phone for the next 10 years. Dude, do it. If you need a reminder to say that to yourself, then do it. It doesn't matter. I need a reminder, and I've said this before. I literally wake up every morning at 3:45, and after I'm done answering my food logs, I post a motivational quote on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. I have a reminder on my phone that reminds me to do that. I've been doing it for 4 years. It doesn't matter. What if at 5 o'clock, 5:30, 4:30 in the morning, what if my son wakes up and all of a sudden it messes up my train, my whole system of what I do in the morning, and then I forget to post my motivational quote? Oh my God, I'm not a woman of my word. I said I forgot to post my motivational quote. I'll never say that. This chick has the worst memory ever, ever. But I will never say the words I forgot, because I don't allow that to be an excuse. If you know you're not good at something, hello, you've just acknowledged that you're not good at something. So freaking do something about it. I have a bad memory. That's why I have freaking Post-its everywhere. Everywhere. I have 4 books of Post-its in my car, 3 in my trunk and 1 in the front. I have Post-its next to my alarm clock. I have Post-its in my kitchen next to where I'm prepping my food. I have Post-its over here. I have a notepad over here, literally, and then I have reminders in my phone. I used to have a daily thing, but this is so much easier for me. I make sure that it goes off every 15 minutes until I dismiss it, or until I do it, or I keep snoozing it, or I reset it. Literally, if you are not good at something, you need to make sure that you get good at it, or not let that be an excuse. And then there's nothing wrong with staying out of your house. There's nothing wrong with avoiding people. There's nothing wrong with being by yourself. You know, what you don't realize also is if you're not with somebody and you learn to, and this is, I mean, everybody has heard this, you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself. And that's the reason why there are a lot of bad relationships out there, because you got one person that's mad at another person, but it's really that they're mad at themselves. They're taking it out on that person, and then they keep bickering and fighting and going back and forth. But it's really one person's insecurity that's effing up the whole thing. You know, like and I've mentioned this in videos, if my husband does something that annoys me, it might annoy me for 5 seconds and then I'll get over it, because who really cares? You know, whatever, we'll either agree to disagree, or I'll tell him how I'm feeling. We have really great communication, but you only have good communication with people if you know how to approach them. But whatever, if you have a family, like my husband's supportive of everything I do. Everything I do. But let's just say the person that I'm making this video for doesn't have anybody supportive. You don't have a conversation with them and agree to disagree, because all you're doing is wasting energy trying to convince them of something that you believe in that they're never going to believe in. I've literally come to terms that my father is who he is. I cannot change my father. I realized that when I got out of the hospital. I needed to stop trying to change him. I needed to stop writing letters to him. I needed to stop trying to have conversations with him about how he made me feel, because it would go in one ear and out the other. And he just didn't understand anything. And I just got to the point where it's like, okay, I can't change him. I can just change the way that I approach him. And that's what you have to do with all the people that don't agree with you. And avoid them as much as possible, and do your whole mind thing with yourself in your rearview mirror. And if you feel like you need to vent, get a journal. I had an entire journal after I got out of the hospital where all I did was talk to my dad in the journal. He never saw it. I just needed to get it out. We all need to get it out. I've got like 30 different journals with all different themes on them. So I hope that this helped. And I hope that this was a good continuation and that you got a little bit more. I might have said stuff. My memory is so shot. So I don't know. I would much rather say something twice than not say it at all. So I love you. I'm definitely about to run out of space. I got to do something about this phone. So have a good day. I'm going to go eat, and I'm definitely taking a nap because I'm a little tired. So love you.